say it. They point to the 2009 game against the Ravens where they got blown out, and they said, well, people said that was the end of the dynasty. Well, the difference between this and then is that back then, Rob Gronkowski was young. Tom Brady was like 30-ish. They were still employing Aaron Hernandez. And now, no Gronk. Brady's 43 and obviously looks like he's just not good anymore. The Titans ended the Patriots. It was Mike Vrabel going in there and asserting his dominance over Bill Belichick. And now the Titans are going to get blown out by the Ravens. Because the Titans just played their Super Bowl. The Titans played their Super Bowl in New England, beating the Patriots into that dynasty. Now the Ravens are rested. The last time they played Derrick Henry, they only gave up 21 rushing yards. They've won 12 straight games. Mark Ingram's back. Mark Andrews is back. Hollywood Brown's back. Marcus Peters is back. Jimmy Smith is back. Earl Thomas is back. This is a Ravens team that, really, with the exception of Tony Jefferson, is at full strength. Everybody talks about Lamar Jackson, 36 touchdowns through the air, touchdowns on the ground, just over 4,100 7 touchdowns on the ground, just over 4,300 all-purpose yards. He's been incredible. He's the league MVP. He should be a unanimous league MVP if you ask me. He's way outpaced my expectations. I did not think he was going to be a good player. He's gone through, and he only has 2 fourth game-winning drives. Because since their bye week, they've only played one possession game. That was against the 49ers at home in the monsoon. Blew out the Patriots, blew out the Bengals, blew out the Texans, blew out the Rams, beat the 49ers, beat the Bills, blew out the Jets, blew out the Browns, blew out the Steelers with their backups. They lost a close game to the Chiefs earlier. I mean, this team is just from like beginning of the year to end of the year. They had that weird game that they lost to the Browns, but other than that, this team's been the best team in the league this year, all year. And their defense has come together. Their defense now ranked. It's 3rd in points allowed, 4th in yards allowed. The offense is 1 in points, 2 in yards. They specialize in the passing. They give out the 5th least amount of yards per game, the 6th least amount of passing yards per game. I think they crushed the Titans. Look at the spread in that game. The Ravens are 10-point favorites. The over-under is 47. I'm once again going to take the points in the Ravens and the Ravens minus 10. I'm going to take the over in that game again. I think this is going to be a 34-10 game. I think they're going to blow them out. I guess I wouldn't cover the over. Let's say 41-10. I think the Ravens are just that good. I don't think the Titans have really a guy that can burn them on defense. A.J. Brown was a no-show in that game. Derrick Henry had a really good running game, but I think the Ravens are going to focus in on that. And they're not going to be like the Patriots where they just don't score. Or they have 4th and 1. They have 4th and 1 and they just don't go for it. They'll go for it every time. Those are the games on Saturday. Moving on to the Sunday games at 3 o'clock and 6:40. 3 o'clock, Texas Chiefs. Chiefs are 10-point favorites. Over-under is 51. There's not a lot to talk about in this game. I mean, the Texans barely beat the Bills. Their offense looked horrendous. Deshaun Watson kind of salvaged himself at the end. I mean, he played 3 quarters of bad football. Turned the ball over. And the Chiefs' defense, for all intents and purposes, since the bye week, they've given up 9, 16, 3, and 21. I mean, that's it. The defense has played incredible. I mean, it's the number 7 defense in points allowed this year. They rank 9th in turnover percentage, which is the percentage of drives they get an offensive turnover. And they still have Patrick Mahomes, who 4,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. I mean, he's incredible. He only played 14 games this year, threw 4,000 yards. Another 2 touchdowns on the ground. Their running game, Damian Williams, LaShawn McCoy, Pat Mahomes, they don't run the ball a whole lot. Damian Williams had a great game against the Chargers. 91-yard touchdown. So maybe that started to get going. The offensive line's a problem, which I think the Texans will be able to exploit a little bit, but only as much as Pat Mahomes lets them, because I think Andy Reid's going to throw the ball around the field. Tyreek Hill's come back this year, played 12 games, still had almost 1,000 yards receiving, 7 touchdowns. He's averaging 14 yards per reception. Travis Kelce became the first tight end to ever have 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons. 97 receptions, 1,200 yards, 5 touchdowns. I think he's going to tear the Texans apart. Sammy Watkins, Mecole Hardman, Marcus Robinson. I mean, they just have so many guys they can throw at you that are all super fast and run by whoever they're going against. Mecole Hardman has been a great kick returner this year. The defense, Tyrann Mathieu, has 4 interceptions. He's been a great addition. Anthony Hitchens and Damian Wilson anchoring the middle of that defense. The linebacker slots are the 2 leaders in tackles. Juwan Thornhill is the other safety. Chavaris Ward, Brashawn Breeland, Derek Nandi have all been really good in the secondary for him in terms of getting after the passer. Chris Jones, Frank Clark, Emmanuel Ogbah, Alex Okafor all have more than 5 sacks. Chris Jones, 9 sacks in 12 games. He's been a star for him and was a star last year. They don't have the guy that Ford's on the 49ers. Now they don't have him. It cost them this game again at the end. Special teams, Harrison Butker has been amazing this year. Dustin Colquitt is still one of the best punters in the league. Yeah, I just think the Kansas City Chiefs are set up to really dominate this game. I think it's going to be there's going to be 3 blowouts this week. Chiefs are going to blow out the Texans, the Ravens are going to blow out the Titans, and the 49ers are going to blow out the Vikings. It's not going to be a very fun week to watch this week, but it's going to set up for at least one really good game next week. Maybe 2. Maybe a certain team needs to win next week for there to be 2 good games next week. I'll say that. So yeah, I like the Chiefs minus 10. I like the over 51. So that's my prediction for that game in Arrowhead Stadium, 3 o'clock on Sunday. And the last game of the divisional round is the Packers and Seahawks. These teams have played several times in the playoffs before. You just have a bunch of weird stuff that happens when they get together. You have the 2 games that stick out to me are the interception touchdown game with the replacement refs where Russell Wilson threw the ball and the guy caught it and it should have been ruled an interception because their replacement refs didn't know what they were doing. They called it a touchdown and the Seahawks won that game. And then also the year the Seahawks lost to the Patriots in the Super Bowl. They had the game where they were down 19-7, I think, and they came back to win on the 2-point conversion, the recovered onside kick, and then they won in overtime on the long touchdown. So 2 teams that have a great history with each other and together a lot of good games. 2 of the best quarterbacks of the last 10 years, Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. But this is a different Packers team than it normally is. Aaron Rodgers is no longer the main guy. I mean, he is still the main guy, but he's no longer the only guy there. Rodgers this year, 16 games, 26 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 4,000 yards, fully healthy. He was still sacked 36 times, which is a very high mark. he's backed up now, backed up as a quarterback now in terms of the offense. He's being backed up by Aaron Jones, who's stepped on as a star in the offense, 1,000 yards, 16 touchdowns. He's been a big play threat, averaging 4 yards a carry on about 14 attempts a game. He's also has 49 receptions for 474 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's a do-it-all back. 19 total touchdowns. He's going to be the guy to watch in this game because the Seahawks were giving up running yards last week to the Eagles, despite the Eagles not having anybody in the ways of being able to throw the ball. The Eagles were very one-dimensional last week. They still give up 69 rushing yards to Miles Sanders. They give up 120 rushing yards total. Russell Wilson had a really good game last week, yards-wise. He gets sacked. I don't think the Packers are going to let DK Metcalf get out of control. They have good Jair Alexander, Kevin King are 2 really good cornerbacks. This is the best Packers defense in a long since they won the Super Bowl. This is the best Packers defense. 9th in yards, or 9th in points allowed. They're still middle of the pack in yards, but they force turnovers. They're very good at forcing turnovers. They forced 17 interceptions. They recovered 10 fumbles. Kevin King, Adrian Amos, former Bear, Jair Alexander, Darnell Savage, Tramon Williams. They all power that secondary. Very good secondary, very young secondary, with the exception of Tramon Williams. Everybody there is under the age of 26. You can move up to the middle. Blake Martinez has been a star for them out of Stanford. Very good linebacker for them. Leads the team in tackles. Also has 3 sacks. Zadarius Smith should have probably been. Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith should have been Pro Bowlers this year probably. They both have double-digit sacks. Zadarius Smith has 13.5. Preston Smith has 12. They both do a very good job of getting after the quarterback. Other D lineman Kenny Clark in the middle has been great this year. Rashawn Gary, who is a first-round draft pick, is a rookie. He's been really hit or miss. He has 2 sacks this year, but I think he's a guy that can kind of turn it on in the playoffs. But all in all, I think the Seahawks are one-dimensional enough that the Packers can kind of anchor down. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a really good game. So I'm going to take the Packers to win this game. I just think they're a more complete team. I think it sets up well for them playing in Lambeau Field at night. They're 5-point favorites. Over-under is 48.5. I think they cover a 5, and I think it's an under game. I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game. I think it's going to be sloppy, much like the Seahawks-Eagles game was last week. I think the Seahawks defense is a little overrated. I think guys like Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams and Alan Lazard are going to be able to get out and get open in the passing game. I think Aaron Rodgers isn't going to make a whole lot of mistakes.